over. It's in the books. VCU 73, Richmond 58. Michael Phillips found a new friend. Zach Joaquin, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us tonight. Justice Miller back for another round. And we just got the final stats here. The fans are filing out of the Siegel Center. We're going to be live with you for a little while. We're going to have post-game interviews. David Teal's going to join us, give his thoughts. He's going to go chat with both teams after this. I'd love to get initial thoughts on the game, Zach.
Ace Baldwin led the way with 18. Wonderful court vision from him there down the stretch to create some easy opportunities for VCU. Richmond wanted to fight early on, right?
Yeah.
They came out and it was nip and tuck a little bit for the first few minutes there. 17-13 Richmond at the under 12 in the first half. Then VCU really took control, 23-6 run to end the first half, and the Rams cruised from there.
Justice?
It was disappointing to watch Richmond not come through in the first quarter. They really had us going in the first couple of minutes. The game was electric. The energy was there. The shots were there. The points.
We got fans talking to us on the way out. The Siegel Center was excited tonight.
The Siegel Center was excited tonight. And I'll say this. Richmond, that was a spirited effort. You tip your hat to the Spiders. They came in hot early. They took the fight to VCU, which you respect the attempt. But, man, VCU's too deep. They were the better team tonight.
Absolutely. And the depth got to Richmond a little bit, right? I think we especially saw that in the second half, where VCU's depth just wears teams out down the stretch. And as we got there in the last 10 to 15 minutes or so, Richmond couldn't keep pace with VCU. They started to push the pace. Ace Baldwin with a few great advance passes to Jameer Watkins to get easy buckets. And VCU was really able to create easy baskets in transition, which helped them pull away at the end there.
I also think that VCU did a good job on defense. I think that Coach mentioned in the last game that was something that they were looking to pick up on, and I think that Coach will be very proud to see them start off early with really high defense.
And that's part of where the depth comes into play, right? Because VCU can keep that intensity up for the entire game when you've got 10, 11 guys that you can rotate in. And with a team with a shorter rotation like Richmond, you really start to see that come into play down the stretch.
Yeah. You don't nitpick 15-point wins.
No.
But let's nitpick a 15-point win. They were up 24 with 10 minutes to go. Does it matter?
It might in the committee's eyes. This is a VCU team that we've talked about it. They're on the outside looking in from an NCAA tournament perspective now, but they're close enough to the bubble that if they were to win out and get to Sunday in an A-10 championship game, you'd like to think that they have a chance. And it's moments like that late in the game where this was really a dominant effort from VCU, and you only end up winning by 15.
Yeah.
You say only 15, but it really was more dominant than that, right? And so you hope toward the end of a game like this, where VCU kind of took the foot off the gas in the last few minutes there, that the committee isn't going to take anything away from what was really a dominant effort from VCU from start to finish.
There's some real highlight plays along the way. I think Toby Lawal, is that where we start here? Hello.
Justice, what was your perspective on that one? Because you were down on the baseline for that one. What'd you see?
I caught all the action on that one, you guys. It was straight poster, okay? Incredible pass, good look by Ace into the inside. I think they all just got really good looks inside for the post game.
Absolutely, and Toby Lawal from London, still kind of a raw talent for VCU, but you could see it in a game like this where they're going to rotate 10, 11 guys. That's part of where that depth comes in, right? That's the third big off the bench for VCU, and Lawal's able to make highlight reel plays like that. Kid can jump out the gym, still a raw talent, but VCU really doing a great job helping him along, learn the nuances of the game. He's a much more polished player these days.
I thought the pass was better than the dunk.
The pass might have been better.
I mean, Ace Baldwin sets it up. He's going up. He's got the lift. Tremendous pass. Lawal slams it down, obviously. That's a highlight play of the game. My headline tonight, Justice, Ace is back. Ace Baldwin was the best player on the court tonight, and that is no disrespect to Tyler Burton, who, we talked about this in the pregame. Tyler Burton took that first loss on his own shoulders. He said he needed to play better. He did play better. Now, part of that physical style, he ends up with 3 fouls really early in the second half. It's tough to work with 3 when you're playing a game this physical. He played well. He's not the reason UR lost.
No.
There was one team that was going to beat VCU tonight, and it was VCU. They didn't do that. They played their best game. They were the better team.
Burton was inefficient from the field in the last time these teams matched up, and that's part of because VCU can throw multiple bodies at him, right? Jameer Watkins, Nick Kern, both capable of guarding Burton. But Burton, 7 of 11 from the field this time, 18 points. He was much more efficient. He was not the issue. He did his part for UR tonight. The VCU depth just started to wear on him.
It was pretty clear when he first came in with that three-pointer in the first couple of minutes of the game that he was going to be on top of it tonight, okay? He felt the energy. It was smooth. I was impressed with his performance despite the overall performance of Richmond.
Oh, Spiders have nothing to be ashamed of here, obviously, under Coach Peter Thomas. So much going on with Chris Mooney. We send our best to him, obviously. But the better team was VCU tonight, and now – you look at the remaining schedule here. Let's take a look at VCU's remaining schedule. St. Louis here on Tuesday. That's not a layup. That's not a gimme.
Not at all.
But we talk about the A-10 this year. In the eyes of the committee, That's not a quad 1 game. That's not a quad 2 game. So they got to handle their business. Then they're at George Washington. And look, if you don't handle your business at George Washington, you go into the NIT. That's how this works. But it's 2 winnable games. It's St. Louis, it's George Washington, and then we're going to Brooklyn. Everything's in front of them.
VCU's already beaten St. Louis at their place. They're probably not getting the performance from Ace Baldwin on Tuesday that they got that night. That was amazing from Ace at St. Louis.
Yes.
But if Dayton were to lose tomorrow to George Mason, VCU has set themselves up so that if Dayton were to go back 2 games of them, they would have the chance to clinch the A-10 regular season title on Tuesday against St. Louis. This place will be rocking nonetheless. But if they can clinch the regular season championship in that game on Tuesday, this place is going to be loud.
Absolutely. Hey, you look at the tourney chart here for VCU. There's 70s in the net. That's not good enough. We had David Teal on earlier. It's just not good enough to make the tournament in the 70s. You look at those early season opportunities they had, they didn't take advantage of. But I see the butt. I see the butt. Go ahead.
They were missing Ace Baldwin.
They were missing Ace Baldwin.
Games.
That's why it's so important that Ace Baldwin dominated tonight. Ace Baldwin came to play tonight. That's why it's so important he plays well, because in the eyes of the committee, that's what they got to be talking about. VCU's got to be playing on Sunday in Brooklyn, and the conversation has got to be this team is much better now with Ace Baldwin than they were when they lost to Temple when he was still hurting, when they lost to Memphis when he didn't play.
And they lost to Jacksonville as well, yeah.
Yeah, that Jacksonville one's tough because at the time you thought they were going to contend for the conference. They didn't. The wheels fell off there. That's a bad loss. You know what? Teams have bad losses, but if Ace Baldwin continues to dominate, that's going to be a huge factor here as the committee sits down to discuss these things.
This is a different team with Ace Baldwin on the floor. I think we've all seen the metrics over the past couple of years of how much better they are with him out there. If the committee takes that into account, that they didn't have Ace in the non-conference schedule for a few of those losses, then who knows? If they're playing in the A-10 championship on Sunday, regardless of whether they win or lose that game, is it possible we could get 2 bids? Who knows? A lot of people have been saying this is a 1-bid league, but perhaps it's still up in the air.
Make them make that decision. Play Dayton on Sunday in Brooklyn. Make the committee have to exclude you. Don't give them an opportunity to. Yeah, that's the story here down the stretch. You got the 2 games, St. Louis here and at George Washington. You take care of business. You get up to Brooklyn. You got that new bye day baked in Brooklyn. They'll play Thursday, be off Friday, back Saturday. You don't even have to win back-to-back anymore. You get the rest day as well. We got the band wrapping up behind us, Justice. The popcorn was burned out here. It was a wild night at the Siegel Center. What'd you think of the atmosphere tonight?
I think the atmosphere was through the roof. I feel like all the fans were here to support. Even when I was down there, I had Richmond fans on one side of the court, VCU fans on the right side.
The costumes too, right?
Oh, did you guys check out those costumes? We had the whole Avengers here, okay? Okay, and they were very clearly here for VCU, but they defended the right side.
Absolutely.
Take me through Jameer Watkins tonight. He's not scoring a lot of points in the first half, but you really feel his impact. Then he steps up in the second half. Big sequence there. Ace scores, Jameer scores, kind of breaks the dam open for him in terms of scoring. Felt like he was an underrated performer in the first half, and then hit that stat sheet pretty hard in the second.
Almost a double-double, 11 points, 9 rebounds, and what stands out to me, the highest plus-minus on the team at plus 16. And I think Jameer can do a lot of things that affect the game, even if it's not from a scoring perspective. His defense, he helped out on Burton. Him and Kern kind of switched off on him. And together, I think when you can switch those bodies on him and put a fresh body on him throughout the game, that's going to really frustrate a star player like that. Jameer's defense was great. And a few of those advanced passes from Ace, right, in that run there in the second half when they got going in transition and Jameer was able to get one-on-one driving opportunities. He's so strong that when he's able to get downhill in that one-on-one matchup, he's really tough, and they got some easy buckets out of that in that second half.
Absolutely. We'll take a minute. We'll talk about the Spiders here. We'll talk about the Spiders' upcoming schedule. They're at St. Joseph's, and then they're hosting George Mason for their senior day. This is a tough road to avoiding the dreaded 5-game schedule in Brooklyn. Winning at St. Joe is probably what it's going to take. Now, they went up to Philly last time. They lose to LaSalle. They were ice cold. They just didn't make any shots. If they turn that around, this is a team. I gained respect for this team tonight. They're solid. They're well coached. They play well. If they can get some buckets to fall, it's not unthinkable they win one of those. But it sure looks right now like they're doomed to the 5-day schedule in Brooklyn.
When you can shoot it outside like they can, you've definitely always got a chance to get hot and play at a really high ceiling. But it absolutely looks like they're probably going to have to deal with the double bye right now, and that's a tough road to try and go make some noise in the A-10 tournament.
Absolutely. Looking to defend their championship there. I don't see it this year, but it's a young team. There's a lot to like.
And without your coach, too, it's obviously tough as Chris Mooney is sidelined here for the rest of the season. For UR to try and find its identity here down the stretch, obviously everyone in Ram Nation, thoughts and prayers are with Coach Mooney right now. It was weird to look down on that sideline and not see him in this matchup tonight.
First time since 2005 that Chris Mooney hasn't been a part of this rivalry series. It lived up to the billing. VCU wins the series. May have a third one in Brooklyn. You never know how the brackets will fall. You'd certainly think VCU would be favored in that one. She's Justice Miller. He's Zach Joaquin. We're breaking it down for you. VCU, the 73-58 winners here tonight, led by 24 in the second half, cruised to victory. A statement game from a team with tourney aspirations, and I thought it was a full roster performance. We really saw the best of Mike Rhodes taking advantage of matchups early in the game.
The army that he talks about, right? Rhodes' army and being able to rotate that many guys. They spread the scoring around. You've got 4 scorers in double figures. Ace Baldwin led the way with 18, but Jalen DeLoach also with 10 points. Nick Kern, 10 points. Jameer Watkins, 11 points. You've got contributions from across the board, and this VCU team is at its best when it's not depending on one guy, when it's able to spread the scoring around and get that army incorporated and wear other teams out, right? We've already talked about that. We saw Richmond get tired legs down the stretch there a little bit. Yeah. That's VCU's MO. You're going to rotate 10, 11 guys, and they really put that to use tonight.
What impressed me was they did the wearing down in the first half, not the second half.
Yes.
You talk about that
Definitely
under 12 break.
Mm-hmm.
Richmond's winning 8 minutes in, and then they never see the lead again the rest of the game. Impressive to get the team worn down before the first half is even over.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We went to the locker room, and I didn't think UR was going to be able to make a game of it, and sure enough, that turns out to be the case.
Still exciting game, though, to watch, even though the second half wasn't as much energy coming from Richmond.
Environment still had the same energy, though, right? This arena did not let up at all, even when VCU got up 20-plus points.
Absolutely. She's Justice Miller. He's Zach Joaquin, Michael Phillips. We are live on Richmond.com. We're taking you through the postgame here. We have a player interview coming up in a bit. David Teal's going to join us. He's got some questions for David Teal.
Got many questions for David Teal.
Let's take a look at the state schedule for this weekend, because we're going to have a lot to talk about here, even beyond just this game here. It's going to be a busy weekend of games at UVA tomorrow. UVA at North Carolina. I'm excited for that one. North Carolina's on the wrong side of the bubble right now. By the way, if it's Selection Sunday and they call North Carolina's name and leave these guys out, your boy's going to have some thoughts about that.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Would be fun to see Armando Baycott in the NCAA tournament, though. Former Trinity Episcopal star at North Carolina.
It'd be more fun to see Ace Baldwin in the NCAA tournament, though. That's where I'm going with this. The ACC, you get so many opportunities for big wins. North Carolina gets Virginia coming down to their place tomorrow. Everybody will lose their mind if they win that. These guys don't get that opportunity. They're not going to get a chance to match up against a power conference team with Ace Baldwin here down the stretch.
And that's why we're talking about a team that I think passes the eye test right now. They look like an NCAA tournament team, but you just haven't had the opportunities in conference play to get those marquee wins to boost your resume. A couple losses, no offense to St. Bonaventure and Duquesne, teams that have had good seasons, but those losses kill you from an NCAA tournament perspective, and that's what's bogging VCU down right now is those conference losses that you just can't have in the A-10.
No question. Who could have seen this coming from a conference perspective? They schedule well. I think there were 21 power conference games the A-10 teams played. They just didn't take advantage of those opportunities, didn't win those, and that's the situation the conference is in. A little bit of irony here, the CAA now being talked about as a two-bid league this year. You could have taken a free lunch off of me if you told me that at the beginning of the year. CAA might get 2, the A-10 might get 1. But Dayton's a good team. Dayton was ahead of VCU in the net as of a couple days ago. I think VCU passed him. To me, 2 worthy teams, 2 deserving teams.
Absolutely. Dayton's dealt with a ton of injuries this year. I think it's a team that would probably have a more impressive resume if they hadn't dealt with the injuries that they did, particularly in their backcourt throughout the season. On paper, they're the best team in the conference. I think everyone knows that. That was the perception going into the year. I think that remains to be the perception. But it's a Dayton team that hasn't been able to find consistency playing at its ceiling, in part because of those injuries. But they've still got a chance. If VCU and Dayton get to that last Sunday, on Selection Sunday, and they're playing in an A-10 championship, then both of those teams could be headed to the big dance.
All right, we got a player coming up here in a minute for us. We'll see what's going on. Might be Nick Kern. We'll find out. We'll keep an eye on that. We got Melanie's over here lining that up for us. Her first game at the Siegel Center
Nick
tonight.
Kern's been phenomenal recently, too.
I've heard it's more life-changing than a 10-day trip to Europe. Is that the saying?
I was lucky enough to meet John Rothstein briefly when I was up in Brooklyn for the Legends Classic earlier this season, and he does confirm that that's legit. He's not hyperbolic there. He means the truth.
It's a lovely place to watch a basketball game. You look across the conference landscape here, and I think VCU did what they needed to do in A-10 play. They're now 17-3 in their last in their last 20 games. It's hard to ask for much more of a team than what they've provided here.
Yeah.
But that's where that big butt comes in hand, you guys. We just have to see how the rest of the games go and then see how they perform during the A-10 tournament.
Yeah.
No doubt. I want to hear about your team, Union. I mean, we got some sleepless nights ahead here after a quarterfinal loss at the CIAA today in Baltimore. That's going to be an interesting situation to watch them.
I
Number
have the
one
final
team.
score right here, actually, you guys.
Yeah, you don't want to give the final score out here. It was a tough one because they're the number one seed coming in. You expect them to glide into an NCAA berth, and that's on the rocks right now.
Yeah. I just got a text message saying that they lost 45-44.
Yeah.
A single point.
That
is the worst thing to come down to when you're in such a big tournament like that. And you know that the team can get to number one, especially when you've been placed number one throughout the whole season. So it was pretty unfortunate. And VSU lost yesterday as well. So that's it for Virginia.
Not good for the local teams. Randolph-Macon's still in it. They'll play tomorrow. We don't have a Hampton-Sydney score yet. I don't think they were the late game.
I've heard some people clamoring for a Randolph-Macon-John Marshall showdown.
Oh, man. Give me a prediction on that.
Oh, Macon would win. John Marshall's an amazing high school team, but it's still a high school team.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
That's a good high school team.
It's the number one high school team in the country, and so people have been asking how they might stack up against a smaller college team.
Sure.
Macon's a darn good team, though.
I mean,
I don't want to disrespect a really good Randolph-Macon program.
I don't
there.
think you are. I think you're respecting them by putting some respect on John Marshall there. That
historically good high school team, perhaps one of, if not the best, the Richmond area has ever seen.
We will see them in the Siegel Center in a couple
Yes, we will.
weeks.
Yes, we will.
That will be exciting. It was a great atmosphere tonight. It was a sold-out crowd as they're filing out of the Siegel Center here. Really fun night of basketball. 73-58, your final score. VCU, the winners over Richmond. We'll go to the stat sheet here. We'll give you some of the leaders. Ace Baldwin, no surprise there, 18 points. It was Neil Quinn for Richmond. I would have guessed Burton, but Neil Quinn with 21, leading the Spiders.
They had trouble with him in the post. That's always kind of the matchup between UR and VCU, right? VCU kind of recruits smaller, more mobile bigs, and UR, I'm thinking of Grant Golden, has always had the 7-footers who can pass out of the post and want to play more of a true back-down game. And they struggled with Quinn a little bit. Both Brandon and Jalen did when they were matched up on him tonight. Don't quite have the size, and Quinn showed off some great footwork in the post to get what's the I believe leads all scorers tonight with 21.
21
Emphasis on 7-footer, you guys. Okay.
There you go.
I believe he's smiling at us as he passes us right now.
On the board,
perfect timing.
On the board's Jameer Watkins with 9, Jalen Deloach with 8.
Great game, Neil.
It's live television, man. You never know what's going to happen here on Richmond.com. He was coming up to do his post-game interview with Bob Black and his crew, who always do a great job up here. The offensive boards, VCU had them, Richmond didn't have them. Those were big second-chance points, big second-chance opportunities for VCU. I felt this was a near flawless game by VCU until the last 8 minutes, really, there where they took their foot off the gas. They needed to make a statement. They still need to make a statement. You're on ESPN2. You make a statement.
A 15-7, as you said, offensive rebounding advantage, though, was huge, especially for a team that can get going in transition like VCU can. You can't then turn around and give them second-chance opportunities in the half court. If they're going to have baskets in transition and opportunities on second-chance points, that's too many easy baskets.
Now, if you're a VCU fan, you hold your nose. You're for Richmond. The better they do down the stretch, the better these 2 wins look here.
Yes.
And, look, it is a polished team. It is a really good Richmond team that we saw tonight. So very impressive there from the University of Richmond. Hats off to them. And Coach Peter Thomas, down to 1-1 now as an interim coach. His undefeated mark does not stand anymore. We'll reset it here. Richmond.com. We're waiting. I think we got Nick Kern coming up to visit us here. Nick Kern had 10 points tonight, 2 rebounds for the Rams. You mentioned that full team effort. We'll certainly ask him about that. A very impressive showing here. So.
A career-high 17 for Nick. The other last Saturday, I believe, here against Fordham. He's been playing really well lately, slid into the starting 5 about halfway through the year, and, man, has he really hit his stride since Mike Rhodes made that move.
Yeah, you talk about Toby Lawal coming up, making some plays. Obviously, Jaden Nunn was just electric the other day. That was very impressive. And then Nick Kern puts up the 17. That's what you need this time of year. You need that depth. You need that play. We're going to welcome Nick Kern on in here. We'll make some room for him here on set. Yeah.
Nick, what's up, man?
Welcome aboard, Nick.
Yeah, go for it.
Zach, we'll let you hold the microphone here for him. There you go.
We can share.
There you go. Team effort tonight, absolutely. What was the message you guys wanted to send, and how'd you get it done?
Message we wanted to send is we run Richmond for real, but it was just another game on the schedule. As Coach said, we had 6 battles. We down to 2 more. That was our 4th one. Yeah, we just battling every day.
Nick, they're up 17-13 after about 4 minutes there. You guys closed the first half on a 24-6 run. I think they're what turned in the first half that you guys were able to take control?
Defense. We actually guarded. We actually played our defense. We picked up full court 94.
Ace Baldwin, 8 assists tonight. What does his court vision do for everyone else on the floor?
It opened up the court for everybody, like me as cutting, a lot of people shooting. Yeah, he's just different. He's real different.
I want to hear about Toby Lawal's hops, though. That was impressive.
Hey, he got the most work on the team. Just don't jump next time.
Rate the alley-oop out of 10 for us. How good was it?
Definitely. It broke my skill. Broke my skill.
There you go.
Nick, what stands out to you on the stat sheet, man? When you see it and look at it, what stands out for you guys tonight? Oh, I'm putting you on the spot there real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
Spread the scoring around.
Plus, bench points. Everybody, hold on. Everybody scored today. Oh, everybody that played scored.
Look at that. Everybody scored.
How does y'all's depth wear other teams down when you're able to rotate as many guys as you are?
Coach always say we are Army, so we're going to use our Army. We real big. We real big off the bench.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to talk about the NCAA tournament. I know it's your goal. How do you keep focused on that during these final 2 weeks?
I'm just worried about what's next for real, or what's the next minute. That's it.
Yeah. You got St. Louis coming up next. We remember about that first meeting, what you guys are going to need to do in that one.
Just play us, be us. Everybody be them, and
What would you take from
execute.
this game and translate into St. Louis game?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
What would you take from this game and take into the St. Louis game?
What will help you guys tonight?
I mean, just keep up the intensity and keep guarding, keep playing, keep being us.
You talked about running Richmond. You had the "We Are Richmond" chants there at the end. What does the atmosphere of this place do for you guys on a night like this?
Yo, this atmosphere is crazy. Like it's probably the best I ever been. Like I mean, it is definitely the best I ever been. The stew is crazy. It get crazy.
We appreciate you taking some time with us.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you.
There we go. Nick
Appreciate you,
Curran,
man.
10 points tonight. VCU wins
Represent.
73-58.
Thank you, Nick.
Over Richmond. Off he goes. A happy VCU locker room, you would imagine.
Absolutely.
With Coach Mike Rhodes as they continue their goal 17-3 in their last 20 games, Zach.
And a team with phenomenal chemistry, really. And Mike Rhodes has talked about that a lot this year, how much he enjoys coaching this group. And I
Yeah.
think you see that with the person-to-person interactions with them at the press conferences afterward. They're joking around. They've got a great vibe. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's a team that likes playing together. And so much of the time, I think from high school to college to professional teams, when you ask the most successful teams what kind of that secret sauce is, a lot of the time they just say we like each other and we have good chemistry and we enjoy playing together. And teams that enjoy playing together generally win ball games.
And I remember covering that Temple game that they lost, which, you know, they looked sluggish that day. Mike Rose's comment to me after the game was, I love these guys, but they drive me crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
They hadn't put it together yet.
No.
And look, Ace Baldwin's a big part of that secret sauce. I think you'd have to acknowledge.
This has been a different team since he returned to the lineup in non-conference play, absolutely.
You know, it's scary to rely that much on one player down the stretch. But at the same time, when he's a transcendent player, you go with that. And, you know, we've seen VCU teams that go as their leader goes over the years. Yeah. I thought he really gave them a lift and finished the job in the second half, too, which is equally important.
And that's not uncommon with a floor general, right? Ace doesn't have to be the dominant scorer a lot of the time for this game. He was that in the game at St. Louis when he had 30-plus points and kind of carried them. But he doesn't need to be that a lot of the time for this team to win. But it's his court vision, right? It's how he sets up everyone else for success. A few easy baskets for Nick, for Jameer tonight that Ace was able to create just with great advance passes, skip passes, backdoor cuts, and stuff like that. It's his floor vision that opens up everything else for everyone on the court around him.
I think a big part of today's win was just really the defense. I feel like defense wins games. That's my favorite thing to see when I'm watching basketball. And I felt like that's what really hyped the crowd up and what really got VCU going in this game because they were on top of Richmond. I felt like they did a pretty good job of holding Tyler Burton to 18 points because let's admit it, he'd have a more impressive night than he normally would tonight. But they really showed out on defense, on the paint, on the outside, and I think that's what really is what made this team come together tonight.
And this atmosphere in this arena responds to defense differently than a lot of
does.
other arenas do, right? Because you have the havoc and the MO, and VCU fans don't just want to see VCU win, they want to see VCU win a certain way. They want 10-second violations, they want backcourts, they want live ball turnovers.
They want to see the hustle points, you guys.
Exactly, because that's VCU's MO. And when that happens in a game like this tonight, in a rivalry game, this place gets really loud. And Nick said it, the players feed off of that.
Yes.
Did they get him with the fake shot clock?
I think they did a couple times, yes.
That's my favorite when they do that. Justice, you were down there courtside. Nick, you heard Nick Curran. Best he's heard this place. Yeah?
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. I think they got me a couple times with the tour and the shot clock because I was recording and I was expecting it to end, and I was like, "Oh, it's not over yet. This is a pretty good crowd." Everyone was really through the roof. Like you mentioned before, the game was exciting. It's actually one of the most high energy games I've been to at VCU. So definitely a big rivalry game to come and see. Don't want to miss the next one.
Richmond and Dayton, I think more than anyone else in the conference, brings the best out of this place when those two teams come here. But the loudest I've ever heard the Siegel Center was Shaka's return and Will's return.
Yes.
When Texas came back and LSU came back.
The Butler game.
Those were absolutely
You were
amazing.
like 12 when that happened. But if it was a good game.
Is that a good one,
Take my
Sue?
word for it.
Okay, I will take your word for it. Don't have a first-hand account there. I'm sorry.
She's Justice. He's Zach. I'm Michael. We're live on Richmond.com, taking you through the post game here, wrapping this one up. Ace Baldwin's, dominance after.
Yes.
You hate to call it a sluggish games, but by his standards, he'd been, not what you want to see from him the last couple of games. Mm-hmm. We really saw it today.
I think he picks and chooses his spots to score, right? And Tim Perrell, our VCU reporter, did a story on that earlier in the year, and Mike Rhodes has talked about that. I actually don't want to see him be a really ball-dominant volume scorer. I think this VCU team is at its best when he's able to be that floor general and set other people up and not have to look for his shot all the time. We saw Jaden Nunn the other night with a career high in the win at St. Joseph's, and he's that kind of guy that you'd like to see. If he wants to dribble a lot and create his own shot, he's got that skill set where he can do it. But Ace, you want to see him kind of playing within the flow of the offense and setting up people around him, and I think that VCU is playing his best basketball of the season right now, in part because he's not having to be that dominant scorer.
You'd also say that when the shooting isn't there, the defense has picked up.
Always,
That was certainly, you saw those streaks earlier in the year where the shooting wasn't there and the defense didn't get back. Rhodes has really instilled that in this team.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, final thoughts here from the Siegel Center?
It was a perfect game today. I can't complain.
Based on the eye test, this looks like an NCAA tournament team to me right now. I'm not sure that they have the resume. They'd have to get to that final Sunday like we've talked about, but I think they're playing their best basketball of the season right now.
No question. I mean, you give the hat tip to Richmond. They showed up, ready to fight, ready to play, and they just couldn't sustain it for 40 minutes against these guys. The better team won today. You want to see them back that up this time of year, and they chose to back that up this time of year, so very impressive.
Absolutely.
All right. For Justice, for Zach, I'm Michael. We're going to leave you tonight with these sights and sounds of game day at the Siegel Center. Thanks for joining us.